Welcome to the salsa class. Today we'll be making some delicious salsa with fresh ingredients. I'll show you all the basics and I'll also explain options that you can add on and how to put everything together so it tastes delicious. Now just keep in mind that I'm a wellness coach and not a cinematographer, so focus on the message rather than the quality of the video. These are the basic ingredients for making a salsa, and salsa is just the Spanish word for sauce. And it's really intended to be used for whatever you'd like. You can put it on fish, on meat, on salads. You can use it for dipping, carrots, whatever. There's so many possibilities. The main ingredients are tomatoes, so I have a couple different styles of tomatoes here. We've got the heirloom cherry style and these big ones. You can use whatever you want, it doesn't matter, whatever your preference is. Here I have a lime, but you can also use a lemon, and you don't need to use the whole thing. But depending how much salsa you're making, you might want to make enough for your whole family to last for several days. I'd say it could probably last about maybe up to a week in the refrigerator, but that really varies. So depending on how much salsa you want to make, you might want to double or even triple these ingredients, the amount of ingredients. So I have here a red onion, but you're also welcome to use a white onion or any type of onion. Normally cilantro is a nice ingredient for salsa. I have here Italian parsley, which is not cilantro, but this is what I have right now, and this is what I'm going to use. Garlic is optional, but I think it's really nice, and I have a garlic grater, which is not necessary. I often just chop it up with a knife, but I just happen to have the grater here, and it makes it really fine and just very easy to blend. Here is a hot chili pepper. This is also optional if you like it spicy. And those are the basic ingredients, as well as salt and pepper. Now for other options, I put aside some various dried spices that you could add. So cumin, I actually prefer ground cumin, but I am at someone else's house right now, and this is what there is. There is tarragon, rosemary, paprika, coriander, cilantro, dried cilantro. I really prefer fresh, but I might use a pinch of that today. Chili powder if I want to make it more spicy, but since I have that fresh green pepper, I always prefer to use fresh over dried. Here's some fire roasted tomatoes. All of these spices are completely optional. It's up to you and your personal preferences. And in fact, you don't need any spices. I think if I had to choose just a few spices that I really like for salsa, I would pick ground cumin and oregano. But really all you need is salt and pepper, and as always I recommend a Himalayan pink salt, some kind of salt with minerals, or some kind of unrefined sea salt, not iodized refined white salt. I don't think that's so healthy. Now we have some options for preparing. You can chop everything up with a knife, or perhaps you have access to a food processor or blender or something like that. Just keep in mind that if you do use a food processor or blender, go slow, because if you puree everything and it might just turn into a soup, and it won't be very chunky, and it won't really give you that nice thick consistency with chunks and texture in it, if that's what you're going for. Here are a few additional options if you'd like to add them to your salsa. Again, this is a creative process, so you do what works for you, but sometimes cucumber is nice. If you happen to have cucumber and you don't know what to do with it, maybe you want to add a little to your salsa. You can also use some sweet peppers. I'm just showing some examples here, but I might decide to put in one or two. And then you can also add radishes if you like the flavor of radishes. Those are great as well. So all this lovely freshness that you will be chopping up, mixing together, and putting into your body. And then if you want to turn it into guacamole, then you can add some avocados. I have one ripe avocado today. And the guacamole is so easy because literally all you have to do is make a salsa and then put some guacamole in it, some avocado, and boom, you've got your guacamole. So let's get started. Now you might be wondering about ratios. This is some grated garlic right here. You don't need a lot because it's very powerful. The most you're gonna need is the tomatoes. Then you'll need onion after that. A little bit of cilantro, or if you don't have that, you could use parsley. And for the hot stuff, I'm just gonna use a really small amount, just a little slice and chop it up. But if you like things really spicy, you're welcome to use more, obviously, or you might want to add something like chili pepper if that's what you have. And then with the lime, what I'm gonna do is squeeze in a half a lime and then mix it together, add salt and pepper and see how it tastes. And if I feel like I want it to be more sour, then I'll add the other half of my lime for today. Normally I hand chop everything, but since I'm staying at a place with a blender, I'm gonna give it a try, but I'm not going to process everything in the blender because just in case it gets too liquidy, I want to make sure that I can add some texture and chunks of things. Now I don't want to just throw the lime in here because we have this rind, so for the lime I'm gonna just go ahead and squeeze it right into the bowl. So I'll just put a little salt, and this came out pretty good. I didn't overdo it, as you can see. I made sure to leave texture in there. But I'm also going to be hand chopping some extra ingredients, the rest of the tomatoes, and I'm gonna add some cherry tomatoes because they're so red and beautiful. And then I'll get some larger chunks of onion and pepper, as well as cilantro. This one I could chop it up, or I could even just tear it with my hand. I have one hand holding the camera, but if I was using my two hands, I'd just tear it up and add it, or chop it up. It's really flexible how you make your salsa, and I like to taste as I go just to make sure my ratios are making sense. So let's give this one a try and see. Oh wow, that's delicious. And as you noticed, I just put a little bit of salt. I think it's great to start with a little and taste and discover if you need more rather than just putting in too much salt and over-salting it by accident. So now I'm going to put this on pause again and continue chopping. Now I've added the cilantro torn up, and I threw in some spices, just a little shake, played around. Like I said, there's no special way. And if you're not familiar with the spices, I recommend that you smell it, that you taste a little bit, and just play around. If you feel concerned about how much is too much, what you might even do is just take a little bit of the mixture, put it aside in a separate bowl, and then add a little pinch of spice and see if you notice the taste. And that's a great way to learn about the flavors of different spices. But again, at the most basic level, you can make a wonderful salsa from just onions, tomatoes, lime, and salt. And that is enough. So everything else is just for fun, for flavor, for preference. And what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and add this mixture that I hand chopped into this mixture from the food processor plus the cilantro and spice. Whoops, I meant to say the Italian parsley and spice, but ideally you would have cilantro. I just couldn't find any at the store, and that's okay. That's why it's great to be creative and play around and have fun with it, because sometimes you're not always going to find the fresh ingredients that you need depending where you live and what you have access to. So be flexible. You might have a salsa that tastes different every time, and that's amazing and wonderful. Word of caution, go easy on the onions. If you have a big giant onion and a big giant tomato, you definitely want to have less onion than tomato. Again, it depends on your personal preferences, but onion can be so powerful. So it's great to just add it slowly, taste, and if you feel that you need more onion flavor, then you could add more onion. But that is much better than oversaturating your salsa with too much onion, and then you have to keep adding more tomato to counteract that. So the best thing to do is just go slow, take your time, taste as you go, play around, have fun with it, and then add more as needed. Okay, so I'm not trying to brag or anything, but this looks amazing. I can't wait to taste it. Let's see. Ooh, that's really nice. Let's see, what does it need? You know, I think it really needs some more lime. So let's use the other half of that lime. And also, as you can see, I didn't choose to add everything. There was so much tomato. This is plenty because I'm just here by myself, so I don't need to make a lot right now. But this will last me at least a few meals. Now, how to make guacamole. You have an avocado, you already made your salsa, put a little bit of the salsa aside, and then start adding avocado. Just spoon it right out. I've spooned out the avocado into the bowl, and now I'm gonna mash it up with a fork. And there you have it, fresh guacamole. You got your salsa plus avocado, boom. And I put the pit from the avocado back in. Some people say that keeps it fresh for longer when you pack it away. And it looks pretty too. If I wanted to present these, I'd just transfer them to different bowls that are clean, since I've used these bowls for preparation. And if I want to put it away for later, I'll transfer it to a plastic container, or even better, a glass container, and keep it in the fridge.